So I'm working on a 2022 YXZ here today. And I thought I needed a new air filter. Turns out it was fine. I was looking at it through that primary hole there, and it looked really dirty. Turns out it wasn't really that dirty. But first thing I noticed when the new filter came in is that it's got this plate on here. What does that plate do? I know a lot of you weirdos will say that it straightens out the air or whatever. Same with like people say that about mass airflow sensors too. Maybe you're right. I don't think so, but especially since in a second you'll see why it wouldn't matter if that air's straight. But turns out if you snip these off, it doesn't take much. Let's see, I used this little tool right here. Just snipped each one off, just like that. Anyway, it comes off real easy. So I don't see the point of that other than to restrict. So this air filter video is turning into a free mods video. But taking the Airbox off to get to this filter, I noticed some other things. First of all, this Airbox is not very fun. It sits up in that very narrow spot there. You gotta slide it in there. I can't really show how to get it off because it is such a small, tight space. You need two hands. You need to get your whole freaking head in there. But I can tell you can get most of the bolts from underneath here, and then a couple of the other bolts from the top here. And then you get this thing off, and you'll get to the air filter that sits right up there. I'll show you that in a second too. But without being able to show you how I got it off, I can still show you all the holes. So you got 11 bolt holes, and you're only going to find 10 at first. See where they all are? Because number 11 is that guy right there, and it is so hidden. The only way I even found it was when I got all those other bolts out, and it still wouldn't budge. I could see that recess there, so I'm like, I bet you, yep, I could fill one in there. So we got 11 holes. But then once you get in there, notice these tubes right here sit awfully close to the inside of this. They've only got about an inch that they can breathe, and that's at the widest point. So at this top point, you can see that is kind of gets bigger at the top. It's got about an inch there. It's got nothing at the bottom, which I guess probably doesn't matter. So anyway, I decided to see if I could give a little air in here, and I decided to cut this off. The idea is I just actually used that same tool. Well, I used a razor knife on some of it, and then I used that tool on the other part of it, this tool, and just trimmed it back a little bit. I decided to leave the bottom because it doesn't matter how close that is. It's really the top that's restricted. We're gonna see if that yields any power, or at least some sound, because I don't know, these I'm gonna be the guinea pig here. I know that Weller, I think it's Weller, I shouldn't say I know. I think Weller is the one who makes the spacer. They make a spacer that goes right here to do this exact same thing, to just give more room between this box and those tubes so that they can get the air a little easier. So I hate to question Yamaha engineers because they are geniuses. They've made some of the coolest engines ever made on the planet, like the what is it, the LT5 and the Corvette ZR1, the SHO motor, that Volvo, the Volvo 340 horsepower, whatever the heck it was that they had in the XC90. Like anytime a big manufacturer needs help, they go to Yamaha because they're geniuses. So I hate to question them, but I know I'm not the only one doing it because there is an aftermarket spacer for that. So I'm going to try. But I know You guys all want to hear what this thing sounds like without the airboxes on. Whoops. Hey, it's me. Let's see. Let's set you up here. And it's already warmed up, so don't worry, it's warm. So I didn't get a before because I wasn't even planning on making a video on this. I was just going to change the air filter. But anybody who owns one of these knows they're usually very clickety-clackety mechanical sounding. And that just sounds freaking badass. So hopefully you get to retain some of that sound by removing those two restrictions. So let me get this sucker back together. I'll try to record some of it. Let's see, the air filter. Everything's got to slide up from the bottom here. There you go. You can see where that filter sits. And then this box goes in the same way. Up from the bottom. Oh man, even just this simple part of it, oh my gosh, even this simple part of it is a two-hand job. Let's see. Oh, I'm doing that upside down. Okay, sorry. That's embarrassing. All right, here we go. So it goes in like this way. Once you get past all these stinking hoses, there we go. There you go. Now you can kind of see the airbox in there, and you can kind of see how hard it is to get. These bolts are obviously very easy to get to, but you can see how hard it is to get to some of these other ones. We've got this tube here that's in the way. I shouldn't actually be putting that on yet, because you want to get some of these harder to get bolts on first before you put the hoses on, but I'll still show you where they go. And then this hose goes right here. Oh, come on. Focus camera. They're kind of focused. Now this hose goes right here. And once you get those two hoses out of the way, oh sorry, three hoses. This one goes up here. Once you get those three hoses out of the way, it's actually not terrible to get to, but terrible enough. So let me get all those bolts in. And you can get to almost all of them with just a small extension and a 10mm socket. See some of the, like that's the easiest one to see from the top. But yeah, most of them you can get to just with just a small socket. I did use, not this is no good. I used this a little bit shorter wobbly for a couple of them too. But for the most part, yeah, just the one tool there. Okay, you can kind of see it installed there, and I made a mistake. I think I said they were 10mm bolts. They're 8mm bolts. Definitely 8mm bolts. Okay. Now we just connect these tubes back on. Maybe. No, you know what? It's not going to work. I need two hands. So okay, I'm giving out all sorts of wrong information. So the hoses that I had off, this is actually just a water trap there. That one was off. This one was correct. You got to take that one off. And then this was the other small one. Get that one off to get it out of the way. And then the other one, you can barely see up there, that's the other one I had off. So sorry, I said I connected one to that. That's not where any of them go. That's just a water trap there. Okay. And then I didn't even mention this because I think most of you guys take that off as soon as you do your first oil change. But there's a cover that goes right here too. I left mine on. Let me get it bolted here and then kind of see. There we go. Yeah, it just sits right there. Figure with the way we use these things, rocks flying up everywhere, and dirt and stuff. The more covers, the better. Oh, I lost one of the bolts though. And those are the 10 millimeter. That's where I was confusing myself. These are a 10 millimeter bolt here. If you even still have yours on. And don't think you're doing yourself a favor being sneaky and not putting all these airbox bolts in. That's very important that system stays sealed. Where did that? Oh my gosh! Look at that. Isn't that the way it always goes? It's very important that system stays sealed. You get air straight in your engine. Where we drive these things, it's always dirty or sandy or whatever. You gotta make sure you're protecting yourself from all that. Let's see. And then I already put my 10 millimeter away. There we go. Because sometimes I just clean up in the middle of a project because I get too much stuff piled around me like this and I can't handle it. So I've got a weak mind sometimes, you know. I'm just kidding. Sometimes it just helps to kind of clear. That's not why I put this one away. I don't have barely any tools here. I usually just end up like putting away the tools that I didn't use. You know, sometimes you get tools out, but you didn't actually need them, and then they're just piled in the way. All right, and then this cover right here. Tuck it in there. It's got to go. All these little. Oh, you can't even see them. See, it's really hard to show any of this. But there's some slots right here that it has to tuck into. There we go. And then this cam lock just goes like that. And if you're lucky, you get it the first time. If you're me, it takes a couple. Oh, that's right. My cam lock is broken, so this one doesn't work. It's just held on by hopes and dreams there. Oh my gosh, hold on. Yeah, as long as you get all the tabs and stuff where they're supposed to go. There's a tab there. There's a tab here. There's a tab kind of down where my finger's pointing. You can't see it, but it's like straight down here, and a tab here. So you gotta have to just slide it into those tabs. As long as you get it in those tabs, it hasn't fallen off on me yet, and we go 50, 60 miles an hour sometimes. So let's get the secondary air filter on. Or I don't know which one's primary, which one's secondary. I always thought that this was the secondary because the one in there you can't see now is like the main air filter, so I always figured that meant it was the primary. Okay. So if you haven't done this before, it's actually really easy with two hands. Not so easy with one hand. Yeah, hold on. Okay, there's some light in there, but you just have to slide it onto that cone. You kind of see the filter in there. Oh my gosh. There we go. There you go. Now you can see the filter in there. But this just slides on there. It's a super sticky mess, but definitely not difficult. Let's see if I can do it. And you see, kind of just holds itself up there until you get this cover on. You can always tell if you got this cover on right because it's got the little water trap down at the bottom. And once you get it in there, oh man, just can't seem to get enough light in there. Okay, once you get it in there, you just turn this cam lock. Goodness. Okay, let's see. Turn this this handle right here. Lock it in place. There we go. Okay, so now you got both air filters in there. Now let's start it. See if we still got that nice free sound in there or not. Set you up right here in the same place. Or if it starts with the rattles. That's what these sound like. Stock. They're all rattly. Let's see. I'm trying. Definitely got a little more of that rattly sound back, but still sounds a little bit better than stock. So I mean that alone makes it worth it. Go on a little test drive. I think it sounds a little less clicky. What do you think, Tom? He doesn't know. Clean off that lens real quick there, yeah. Let's see. Not a huge difference, but it sounds a little better and it seems a little more responsive. One thing I've read a lot about is how much these things like air. I'd say it made a difference, but I drive that Razor 800 a lot. It only has 56 horsepower, so I don't know. I think it was worth it, especially if you got to change out your air filter anyway. I think it's worth that effort to take that little screen off and then just trim those. So, alright, that's it for this video. Thanks, guys.